My husband's childhood sweetheart wanted to join our family vacation. Without hesitation, my husband canceled my plane ticket and gave it to her, leaving me with the task of carrying the entire family's luggage on a 36-hour train ride in a hard seat. In a fit of anger, I immediately threw all their luggage into the trash disposal company and canceled their hotel reservations. It was rare for my husband to get an extended vacation, so our family decided to go on a long trip together. I had started planning everything 6 months in advance, selecting destinations, creating an itinerary, and booking everything. Since everyone in the family was so hands-off, I ended up in charge of flights, hotels, meals, and all activities. I didn't mind doing the work, it would be worth it as long as everyone was happy. Flights were hard to book, so I reserved tickets for the whole family early on. When my sister-in-law mentioned she had never experienced first class, I even paid out of pocket to upgrade everyone. Just before we were set to leave, my husband suddenly told me, "Mallory heard about the trip and wanted to join us. Our flight is full, so you'll need to take the train. I've already bought your ticket." He sent me an electronic ticket for the train on WhatsApp. "What's the meaning of this?" I asked. "This is supposed to be a family trip, and you're bringing Mallory along?" "Of course. Mallory wants to come, so I have to bring her along," Henry replied. I was furious. "When my sister asked to join us, you were very clear. This was a family trip, and you didn't want to bring anyone from outside, and just to have fun together. Now that Mallory wants to come, you agree immediately?" "Mallory and your sister are different," he said. "We're closer than family, we practically are family." Scoffing, I spat. "I bought the plane tickets ages ago. Why do I have to take the train?" "There were no seats left on the flight, so I had to refund your ticket and get one for Mallory. The only option left for you is the train." Henry shrugged, not caring about my opinion. I looked at the electronic ticket he sent. It was for a 36-hour hard seat. "So you bought Mallory a first-class plane ticket while I sit for 36 hours on a train?" I asked in disbelief. He smirked. "Didn't you say you liked watching the scenery from the train? Here's your chance to see it all." I looked toward my in-laws, and my father-in-law quickly turned his face away. My mother-in-law tried to comfort me. "Camille, Mallory, and Henry have been friends since they were little. They have so much to talk about. It only makes sense for them to sit together. Just bear with it for now. We'll meet up once you arrive." My sister-in-law, Nicole, chimed in. "Sis, Mallory has a delicate constitution. There's no way she could handle such a long train ride. You're strong and healthy, you can manage." I laughed bitterly. "Who is actually part of this family? It's starting to look like Mallory is your real daughter-in-law." Henry scowled. "It's just a train ride, it's not a big deal. And Mallory is practically family to us. It's only right that we make sure she's comfortable. Can't you be a bit more gracious and set a good example?" Just then, the doorbell rang. My sister-in-law ran to open it. It was Mallory. "Mallory, you're here. I've been waiting for you." Nicole enthusiastically dragged Mallory's 2 large suitcases into the house. "Oh, Mallory, I've missed you so much. If only you hadn't gone abroad, you could have married my brother, and we'd all be family," she exclaimed as she side-hugged Mallory. On the other hand, my mother-in-law held Mallory's hand and chimed in. "Exactly. I always thought you and Henry would make a perfect match. In my heart, I've always seen you as my daughter-in-law. No one else could compare to you." They said this openly, right in front of me, without a hint of shame. At that moment, I felt my heart grow cold toward this family. Though Mallory and Henry had been childhood sweethearts, when the Baker family fell on hard times, she left the country without hesitation. It was me who helped the Baker family repay $500,000 debt, and out of gratitude, Henry married me. I had given so much to this family. My parents-in-law weren't in great health, and I'd been caring for Nicole since she was 10, handling everything from cooking and laundry to picking her up from school, helping with her homework, and attending her parent-teacher meetings. Now she was 15, and I had essentially raised her for 5 years. Though I was only her sister-in-law, I felt more like her mother. I had been generous to my in-laws as well, giving them a monthly allowance of $10,000 and taking care of all the household chores and meals, practically spoon-feeding them. Instead of feeling like a daughter-in-law, I often felt more like a live-in maid, one who paid out of her own pocket to care for this family. I never expected something in return, but despite all I'd done for them, they still treated me as less than an outsider. Mallory walked up to me with a smug smile. "Sorry, Camille. If I hadn't suddenly decided to join, you wouldn't have missed out on the plane ticket and been stuck with a train seat." At first, I thought I'd skip the trip since there weren't any tickets, but Henry said he'd handle it. I didn't expect he'd make you take the train, though. I even offered to take the train myself, but Henry was worried about me sitting alone for so long. "So, I guess I have to thank you for taking the inconvenience." Nicole looped her arm affectionately around Mallory's. "Exactly. There are all kinds of people on trains, and if a girl like you were targeted by some creeps, what would we do? Camille, on the other hand, has such a fierce look, like a warrior. She'd scare them off in no time." When she finished speaking, the two of them burst into laughter. Seeing the anger on my face, Henry softened his tone. "All right, I know this arrangement isn't ideal for you, but it's the best solution we have. Just last week, you were eyeing that bag you wanted. Why not go ahead and get it?" I held out my hand. "Sure, $5,000. That's so expensive. I already agreed you could get it, but now you want me to pay too? Don't push it," he snapped. I smirked and sarcastically spat. "Since when do I need your permission to spend my own money? How much do you even earn in a month?" At that instant, his face flushed in embarrassment. "That's not fair. His monthly salary was only $3,000, while I earned $100,000. His salary didn't even cover his own expenses. I'd been supporting this household from the start. When we got married, he didn't give me any dowry. I'd paid off that $50,000 debt and even added $30,000 as a wedding gift, plus I bought our house. This comfortable life they now enjoyed was all thanks to me. If they loved Mallory that much, then they could have her as their daughter-in-law instead. Camille, hurry up and make dinner, it's already late, and everyone's hungry, my mother-in-law urged. I didn't reply to her and turned to Mallory with a smile. Mallory, you and Henry grew up together, so I assume you used to eat here a lot. Of course. Back then, Henry and I practically had every meal together, Mallory chirped. So, after all these years abroad, you must really miss Mom's cooking, right? I looked at my mother-in-law and continued, Mom, shouldn't you get started on dinner for Mallory? After speaking, I sat down on the couch and turned on the TV. Shortly after, Henry came over, annoyed. How could you make Mom cook? You know her health isn't great. Get up and make dinner. Feigning surprise, I replied, Mom, you're unwell? Is it serious? Why didn't you tell me? My mother-in-law snapped back, irritated. Who's unwell? I'm fine. Stop trying to curse me. Then why don't you want to cook for Mallory? Don't feel like it? I said in amusement. Instantly, her expression soured. Who said I wouldn't cook? She went to the kitchen and spent the next 2 hours preparing dinner. When it was ready, Nicole pulled Mallory into my seat. Sis, Mallory is a guest. You don't mind giving up your spot, right? My mother-in-law chimed in, handing me a bowl. If sitting at the edge is uncomfortable, why don't you take your plate to the kitchen and eat there? And while you're at it, clean up a bit. So now I wasn't even allowed at the table. No need, you all enjoy. My friend invited me out, so I'll eat with them, I flatly declined. Henry looked irritated. We're leaving for our trip tomorrow, and you're still going out? Did you pack yet? Don't you have hands? Why don't you pack? I argued back. Stunned by my response, he fell silent, and I headed out. I treated myself to a high-end dinner at a fancy restaurant, ordering steak, wine, and lobster. With my own money, I could dine wherever I wanted. I stayed out until well past midnight, enjoying my time. When I returned, the house was dark. Despite me being out so late, no one had called or texted to check in. Apparently, they had all gone to bed without a second thought. Feeling my way through the darkness, I entered the bedroom and sat on the bed, only to be startled by a piercing scream. Ah,